Greetings, welcome to CIS 110. In this video series, we have looked at different ways to use Word 365 to create different types of documents. In this video, we will look at using Word 365 to create a report. Now, what exactly is a report? If we take a look here at a definition of a report from Grammarly.com, we can see that a report is a nonfiction account that presents and/or summarizes the facts about a particular event, topic, or issue. The idea is that people who are unfamiliar with the subject can find everything they need to know from a good report. Reports are closely related to essay writing. However, essays add the personal opinions and arguments of the authors. Reports typically stick to the facts. Reports are heavily organized, commonly with table of contents and copious headings and subheadings. We will see that. This makes it easier for readers to scan reports for the information they are looking for. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing here is we should look at what makes up a report. What are the sections of a report? And again, a report is a nonfiction, research-based type of document. So in the sections of a report, we will have a title page. That's actually a title page. A table of contents, usually on a separate page. Then we would have the introduction, body, and conclusions. Now, the introduction and conclusions could be on separate pages themselves if they are longer. The introduction will usually create a thesis statement or a statement about what the overall report will be about. And the conclusion will tie all of the facts together that were presented along with the thesis statement and provide a sort of a wrap-up or a conclusion. The references page, which is where we provide our sources that were used in gaining the research in the document, those are usually separated onto a last page, and we'll see that. Okay, so how do we get started? So in this assignment, what we will do is we will actually use some existing text. CIS 110 is not a writing course, a research course, a journalism course. So what we will do for this assignment is to provide the text that will be used to fill in the report. We can take a look at that now. This text is based on a report around slow cookers or crock pots. It seemed a useful topic for anyone to know more about, so we will create a report based on slow cookers. Now here is the text that will be provided in this assignment. As you can see, it is separated into sections. This is very important for creating a report in Word 365, which we will see. So here, as we scroll down, we can see the introduction, the history of slow cookers, the design of slow cookers, operation of slow cookers, recipes for slow cookers, advantages, disadvantages, and then finally at the end here we have a section for hazards. And notice in this section there are actually two subheadings, as they're called, one for scalding and one for poisoning concerns. Those are both part of the hazards section. Finally, at the end, we'll have a conclusion. Okay, let's do this. Here's how we will build this. I will pull this off screen and I will copy this entire chunk of text to my clipboard, Command-C on Mac OS and Control-C on Windows. And so now I've got that text on my clipboard, and I will come here to a blank Word document. I will paste this text in. Now this is raw text here, so you'll notice that there are no links. We see that we have our sections, although overall things are spaced out a little wider. Okay, so what we want to do here, if we look back and just refresh our memory on what is in a report. A report has a title page, a table of contents page, a separate page, introduction, body, and conclusions. And what we will do is we will combine those into the body of the document. So the introduction and conclusions will not be on their own pages. And then finally, we'll have a references page. Okay, back to our report. So what we need to do first, looking at this, is we need to introduce the other pages that will make up our title page and our table of contents page. Many times you will see people using Word where they want to create a blank page and they want to move what's on the current page perhaps down. And so you may see people just hitting the carriage return key, the line break key, the paragraph insert key. And that's not what we want to do. What we want to do here is we want to actually introduce, create a page break And in Word 365, there is a way to do that. So I'm going to just move my cursor up above this first section, the introduction section. And on my ribbon, I will come here to the Insert tab. Now, if I come here to the Insert tab, you will see the first choice is a page break. What that does is that manually enters a full page break, and Word knows that all of the text on this current page should be pushed to the next page. So I'm going to do that. I'm clicking here. And if I zoom out, I can show you that all of that text has been moved down below to page 2. So we currently have page 1 above and now page 2. And according to our outline of sections for the report, we know we need also a table of contents page. So up here above, I will come, and let me zoom back in so we can see. Move our cursor back in. Okay, so up here above, I will insert another page break. Again, Insert tab and page break here. So we now have 2 blank pages. I will zoom out one more time. And we can see that 2 blank pages, and then the body of the text starts on page 3. Okay, so I'm going to come back here to page 1. Let's create our cover page. The contents of the cover page are the title of the document, the author of the document. In the case of educational academic settings, it will be the class that you are submitting this report to, the name of your instructor, and the date. So because we are here at the top, let me zoom in again just a touch. We have our cursor here at the top. I'm going to just drop down a few, and I'm going to type the word slow cooker. And let me move in just a touch more. Okay. I will drop another line here, and I'm just going to make up a person, Dave Wilkins. And this would be for CIS 110, Introduction to Computers. Okay, and here we will have our instructor in the course. And I will just title this person Instructor Rollins. And the date. So April 24, 2024. Okay, so if we zoom out here and look at our title page, we can see that we have the text we need for that. And if I zoom down, we'll see that we do have our blank page there on page 2 for our table of contents. And now we can format this title page just a little bit. First thing I might do here is to take the title. And what we're going to do here is take a first look at using styles, text styles, in this document. If I come here to my ribbon, and I'm going to actually expand my ribbon to the classic size ribbon, so it's a larger version of the ribbon. You can see a little bit more that way. If I come back here to the Home tab, you will see that we have a styles group here in the middle. And right now, because I have slow cooker highlighted, it's showing that it is normal style, which is Aptos, that's the name of the font. Aptos 12, size 12. When I pull down, look what we see here. We see that there are different styles available to us to apply to this text that I've highlighted. I'm going to actually choose the title style, which is a default large, bold, and left aligned. And now that I've done that, I'm going to highlight this whole section of text. And of course, we know we can see that we have quick access here right after we select text. I'm going to align everything to the center. And then I'm going to come above here and I'm going to drop all of this text down. If I zoom out, you get a better chance to see kind of where it sits on the page. I'll bring it down about 2/3 of the way, give or take. And I will make one more change here where I have the text underneath with the author, class, instructor, and date. And I will just bump that up one size. Let me do it this way. Go into size 14, make it size 14. And so that it's just a little larger there on the page. Okay, so we have our title page. That's a perfectly adequate title page for a report. Let's skip the table of contents right now. We'll see why that is shortly. Let's get into working in the body of this text. Now, you'll remember that I said that these are individual sections, and we can move things around a bit by either dropping line breaks or backing things up with the delete key. We don't have to go all the way to the top. We want to make sure we've got space between the sections that's adequate. We can also, as we go along, right-click and choose to ignore all on things like authors and names. But what we want to do now is we want to again use the Styles group here on the Home tab for these section headers. And here's how we'll do it. I'm going to select each one of these. First, I'm selecting Introduction, and I'll come here to the Styles tab, Styles group on the Home tab, and I'm going to choose Heading 1. And watch what that does. That creates a larger size. It's got a blue color to it. It's doing something else. It's telling Word 365 where I want divisions in this document to occur and where and how it should look for items to put into the table of contents. We'll see that in a minute. It's very important for the table of contents. So I'll go through each of these headings here and apply a Heading 1 style. There's history. We may find some paragraphs that have extra space that we can pull together. Here's another example. Based on sizing, we may want to do this. We may, it's about how things are formatted and how the look is, which will vary depending on the style that you apply. So here is another case where I'm going to use Heading 1. I will back up the design section a little bit to come up a little higher. I will bring these paragraphs together. I'm not going to worry about the grammar suggestions here at the moment. Operation, I can bring that up. Double clicking to select the whole word there of operation. Heading 1. Okay. The important thing that we are doing right now is applying the Heading 1 to the divisions here of the sections. Okay, so I'm going to create a little space there. Pull some things together. We now are on to advantages, Heading 1. Oh, that was too much. Okay. All right, pull these, and we're getting to the end here. Disadvantages is again a Heading 1. And finally, hazards. Now, as I mentioned, hazards, which is a Heading 1, has two subheadings: scalding and poisoning concerns. I will give a little space there for scalding, and I'll back this up and pull these two subheadings together slightly. Okay, what we want to do on the subheadings is not apply a Heading 1, but we'll apply a Heading 2, which places it under the level of Heading 1. And as you can see, it does a similar styling, but not quite as large. Same thing here on poisoning concerns, a Heading 2. Great. And finally, we'll come down here to the bottom for the conclusion, and we'll make that a Heading 1. Okay, we have done our work in applying the styles of Heading 1, and in this case here at hazards, Heading 2, all through the document. Now, if we come back up to the top, to page 2, which is blank, we are going to now provide a title for this blank page. And I will just simply type Table of Contents. Okay, now, and I'll drop down a line or two here. And what we want to do here is just simply style this with normal sizing and bold. We do not want to apply a style such as Heading 1 to this. Heading 1 is what we have been using to create our table of contents, which we will see in a minute. We don't want to use Heading 1 on the words table of contents. That will put those words into the table of contents, and we don't want that. So what we will do here is just come to the Home tab, and I will run this size up to, say, 18. Even larger. Let's make this a little more, let's make this stand out a bit. We'll run this to 24 and bold. Okay, we've already dropped down a few lines. If we look back at our outline for the sections, we are indeed still missing the references pages. When you work with this table of contents in Word 365 and you use the Heading 1 and Heading 2 styles to tell what will be in the table of contents, you want to be careful because that table of contents does not change. You can update the table of contents if you add new sections to the document. But sometimes it can be a little tricky or finicky with the way it works. So what I like to do is just to make sure that I have all of my sections laid out beforehand. And to add that extra page that I need for the references, let me just go ahead and enter the word references here. And I'll zoom in so we can see what we're looking at here. I will actually even put the styling on it now, which is heading 1. Okay, and as we can see, that did drop a page automatically by pushing it down. So we have a new page in place here. And I'll drop a few spaces before we put in the actual references. So if I come back up, now we have our final page. That is on page 8. And we can see that our title is on page 1. You'll notice the page numbers in the lower right. Table of contents is on page 2. To place and create the table of contents, you drop your cursor on that page, in this case page 2. Come here to the References tab, and in the first group, Table of Contents, you'll see Insert Table of Contents. I am clicking that. And look what's happened. It has designed for us automatically a table of contents. With the introduction on page 3, which is the next page after this, we go down through the document. We get to page 7 where we see hazards, and we also have the subheadings. You'll notice that those are indented. Conclusion lives on page 7 as well. And finally, at the very end, we have the references on page 8. Okay, so we have laid out this document with the parts of the outline that we saw before. Title page, table of contents, body, and the references page. However, the references page is blank. So let's go look at that. For this assignment, we will also provide a text file with references. Now, as it turns out, you may have noticed, let me back up to the top. We've been moving kind of quick through the body of the text, but within this text that'll be provided, you'll notice, let's look right here, that there are already placeholders for references here. This bit of information was drawn from reference number 1. As I come down through here, this first sentence in the history section is reference 2. Reference 5 is right there. So we've already got placeholders here for the references page to use with the references that we will provide in this assignment. Again, this assignment is for formatting only. So let's go down here to the references page, and I will zoom out again just a bit. I'm going to come over here to a file called reportreferences.txt, and you'll notice that we have in plain text format 10 references here. And they are delineated very similarly to how they look on the page. That's just for convenience so you can see that this is reference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this section off to the side for a moment. And the way we add these references in Word 365, if I come back up to the first paragraph where we have reference 1, let me zoom in. What we do here is we actually can put in end notes. Now there's a difference between end notes and footnotes. Footnotes would appear at the bottom of this page. This is page 3. If I create footnotes for this page, they will appear at the bottom of this page. If I create end notes, they will appear at the end of the document. So that's what we're going to use, is end notes. So I know that this is my position for reference number 1. I can create a bit of space after it. We'll say 2 spaces after it. For now, I'll bring the cursor right up against the period where that reference will go. With this cursor in position, if I click Insert EndNote, watch what happens. Okay, we are given a small I here, and what we are given in this area right here is the space to enter the footnote. So off screen, I'm going to just copy the first line of the endnotes here. Command C and Control C. And I'll come back over here and just simply paste it in here. And there we have our first endnote in place. I can click out of this box and it drops that in there. Now, we're replacing the numbering system with this endnote system. Now, right off the bat, if I were to scroll all the way to the bottom of this document to our references area, you will not see the endnotes appear there. The endnotes will appear and be formed once you do either one of two things. You can enter a different view mode here in Word 365. If I go to the View tab, I can switch to the Reading view. We were previously in the Editing view. Now, if I were to scroll down here in Reading view and come all the way to the bottom, you will see that under References, we have our first endnote there. And there is a line divider that's automatically placed. We will likely change the spacing here a little bit so that it's a little tighter together. Also, when you export this as a PDF, those endnotes will be included in that version as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch back from Reading view here to the Edit, using the Edit Document button. We'll switch back to Edit mode. And I will begin to roll through and add the additional endnotes here. So I'm going to come back down to where I know the second one is, remove this placeholder. My cursor is in place already. I come to the References tab and I insert an endnote. And you'll see that it is two small i's now, indicating this is the second reference. Off screen, I'm going to copy my text for reference number 2 and come back here and paste it in place. And I will click outside. And now we see the 2 there. And we have our second reference. Let's move on to the next one, which is, in this case, a combination of references 3 and 4. So let's do this. Let's pull these placeholders out. We'll do it the same way we've been doing it, which is insert an endnote. And it is keeping track of where we are in the endnotes. So I will come off screen and I will grab my reference number 3 text with a copy, drop it in here with a paste. Great. And I'm just going to go one space over from that third endnote, and I will insert the fourth endnote here. And you'll see that that is a lowercase 1v or IV. And off screen, I will grab reference number 4. Copy and paste. And click outside of this box back in the document. So here we see we have both 3 and 4 referenced right there. Down here is 5. Here's endnote 5. Copying this text, pasting, and clicking outside. 6 is down here a little further. Here it is right here. Insert endnote. Knows that's number 6. I'm going to grab number 6. Great, there's reference number 6. Okay, and I'm going to skip ahead here to the end of reference number 10. Okay, so I have just inserted endnote number 10. As you can see here, there's a very small X here to the left of this reference. And I will click outside of this. They were all done the same way. I look for the placeholder with the number. I remove the 2 brackets around the number, and in that position, I use the insert endnote command. Then I am given the ability to paste in my reference, which I use from the text file that's provided with assignment. So I now have 10 references in here. And again, you don't see them down here. They will be placed at the end of the document. Currently, right now, if I drop my cursor below references, the end of our document is right there. So I'm going to pull this up by pulling a few spaces out. And in fact, I will place the cursor right against the end there. And then if we switch our view one more time back to the reading view, we can get a look at how our endnotes look. I'll scroll down to the bottom of this document, and we can see that we have our 10 references in place with their small Roman numeral versions to the left. We copy and pasted each one of those in, and those are provided in that text document. So let me come back here to Edit View briefly, and I will roll to the top so we can take a look at the entire document and zoom out. You'll be able to see the sections that we have. Here is our title page, our table of contents, which was generated automatically. And we have the body, introduction, body, and conclusion of the document. And then finally, our references area, which in edit mode you do not see. Now let me just show you one last thing now that we have this built. If we come to our table of contents and we look at any section, now I want you to imagine for a second that this document is 25 pages long. If your reader wants to find out about something for slow cookers, crock pots if you prefer, and they come to the table of contents, they may see immediately that they are interested in finding out about scalding problems with slow cookers. And the benefit to this in the electronic format, not the printed format, but in the electronic format, which is what we're looking at now, if you were to share this document perhaps in Microsoft 365, you'll notice that when I'm hovering in here, I'm getting a command plus click to follow link. These are actually active links. If I hold command on my Mac or control on my Windows and double click the word scalding, watch what happens. I'm taken to that section. So that is one of the benefits besides knowing what page it's on, the information you're looking for. But the other benefit is that I can quickly jump down many pages inside a document to be able to get right to the section I want. We have just completed formatting a report. We put in all the proper sections. We used heading 1 to create the sections that would then feed into our table of contents, as well as heading 2. We set up our references page as a blank area, and then went through the document and found the placeholders for those references and inserted endnotes for each. The text for this file, this document, is provided with the assignment, and the text for the references is also provided with the assignment. I hope this helped you to understand how to format a report in Word 365.